You know, it's easy to think a conflict happening thousands of miles away doesn't really affect us. But what if I told you its shockwaves are hitting you right where it hurts, your bank account? In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how a targeted energy war in the Middle East is directly driving up costs for millions of us all around the globe.
So what's going on here? I mean, you've probably felt it yourself, right? At the gas pump, or maybe you've been nervously watching your mortgage rates. The costs of, well, just about everything seem to be climbing. And it is definitely not a coincidence. It's a direct result of a conflict that is escalating, and fast.
And the scale of this, wow, it's staggering. We're not talking about a small bump here. We're talking about a nearly 50% surge in global oil prices since this all kicked off. A shock of that size is the engine behind the price hikes we're all feeling right now.
So what's the spark? What actually lit this fuse? Well, this isn't your typical conflict. This is a war being fought over the very facilities that power our global economy. We're talking about direct, targeted attacks on absolutely critical energy infrastructure. Okay, so here's how it all went down, and it escalated fast. It seems to have started when Israel reportedly struck the world's largest natural gas field in Iran. A huge deal, because hitting these vital economic targets was something that was previously avoided. Well, Iran's response was swift. They hit a refinery in Qatar and started issuing threats against facilities in Saudi Arabia and the UAE. This dangerous back and forth is exactly what sent global markets into a panic. And when we say energy infrastructure, what are we actually talking about? Well, think of it like the heart and arteries of the entire global energy supply. These aren't just symbolic targets. When you hit a major refinery in Qatar, for example, you're threatening a facility that handles a massive chunk of the world's liquefied natural gas. It's a direct attack on the very flow of energy around the planet. And you don't have to guess at the intent here. I mean, just listen to this direct quote from an Iranian warning. It shows you just how serious this is. This isn't some veiled threat of a minor disruption. It's a promise of total destruction, and it's designed to create maximum economic pain. Okay, so now let's connect the dots. How does an attack in one specific region create this massive global economic shockwave? It's all about the chain reaction, where a single explosion can literally be felt in households and on stock markets all over the world. And here's the really fascinating part. This whole domino effect is driven just as much by fear as it is by any actual shortage. Just the threat of supply being cut off is enough to send markets into a total panic. That panic drives up prices, which then fuels inflation, which then forces central banks to say, whoa, we can't cut interest rates yet. And boom, that's how a distant attack ends up making your mortgage more expensive. So make no mistake, this isn't some accidental side effect. This is a deliberate strategy. It's been called a potent economic weapon for a reason. The goal isn't just military, it's economic. It's designed to inflict financial pain on a global scale, burning holes in the pockets of ordinary people, whether they're paying attention to the conflict or not. What's also interesting is how different countries are reacting. You've got the US Fed, on one hand, initially calling it a modest impact, but then you look at the Bank of England, and they're way more worried. They warned that the drop in inflation everyone was hoping for was now at risk. And that caution, that's exactly why millions of people are suddenly seeing borrowing costs and new mortgage deals get more expensive. And believe me, this isn't just about the price at the pump. The impact ripples out into almost every part of our lives. Higher energy prices mean it costs more to ship anything, anywhere. The price of agricultural fertilizers, which need a ton of energy to produce, shoots up. And of course, your own gas and energy bills at home start to climb. It just seeps into every single corner of the economy. But, you know, the numbers on a balance sheet, they only tell part of the story. To really get the true cost of this energy war, we have to look beyond the markets and at the devastating human and political fallout that's happening right now on the ground. Just take a second and let this number sink in. Over 800,000 people. That's according to the Norwegian Refugee Council. That's how many people have been displaced in Lebanon alone because of this. It's a staggering human toll. An entire population just uprooted. And it's one thing to hear the numbers, but it's another to hear from the people living through it. This account from a resident in southern Lebanon, it just puts everything into sharp focus. This isn't happening on some distant battlefield. It's happening in people's homes, suddenly, with absolutely no warning.
So the reality on the ground is it's grim. We're seeing Israeli airstrikes hitting not just military targets, but civilian homes and infrastructure too. Hospitals are completely overwhelmed trying to treat these horrific injuries, and even the medics themselves are being attacked. And while both sides claim they aren't targeting civilians, it's the civilians who are suffering the consequences more and more. And this is a key point. A crisis like this, it doesn't respect borders. The political shockwaves are now being felt thousands of miles away, and they've even triggered a national security investigation right in the middle of London. So, after an investigation, 2 men were charged under the UK's National Security Act. Counter-terrorism police alleged they were conducting surveillance of targets inside London's Jewish community, all to assist Iran's intelligence service. It's just a stark reminder of how these big geopolitical conflicts can show up as direct security threats pretty much anywhere in the world. All right, let's step back and tie all of this together. We've seen how just one spark in one part of the world can start a fire that spreads everywhere, affecting everything from our wallets to our own national security. So if there's one big takeaway here, it's this. Our world is incredibly, and sometimes dangerously, interconnected. A single attack on an energy facility doesn't stay local. It sets off a financial crisis that you feel in your mortgage payment, a humanitarian crisis for hundreds of thousands of people, and a political crisis that puts entire nations on high alert. And all of this really leaves us with one last big question to think about. This whole conflict has shown us just how deeply our economies, our security, and frankly, our lives are all intertwined. It really forces us to ask, in a world this connected, can any major crisis ever really be considered local anymore?
喜欢这种学习方式，欢迎订阅我的频道，让我们一起用下一个10分钟，把商业英文变简单。